As in previous courses you've taken with me, I am sending around a sign-in sheet. Please sign in. If you have a preferred name, put it next to your name. Please initial next to that. Eventually, we'll have a seating chart and not have to do this. I apologize for the wind noise. It is a difficulty of being on the end of the building on a corner. There was a goal at one point to get better curtains in here. They haven't been purchased yet. Maybe they'll come sometime this year. Who knows? I'm Dr. Sassmore. Welcome to Discrete Math. My office is across the hall in Lynch, room 116. Phone number here. My office hours, though, are held over in the Enrichment Center, Reeves 108, immediately after this class on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, most of the afternoon, and Thursday after my calc class ends on Thursday. If you can't physically make it there, let me know. I can put up a Google Meet. This link will be available for all those office hours. I can put this camera up. We can work the same way we're working here in class. This course is the first math course where the answer isn't what I'm looking for. This is a course that asks, why do you know that? How do you know? Justify to me. This class is designed to answer the question, why, not how. So as opposed to doing all sorts of calculations, we will do plenty of calculations at different points in the semester. We're also going to look at what's behind those calculations and the reason they work the way they work. And to that extent, this course is really about logic and proof. And that's our course description here. We're going to cover most first 9 chapters of Rosen's text. The 2025 release should be the version you have. I did read through this entire book and make sure that the changes that were made shouldn't affect much in the way of this course. We should be fine. You have an older version, though, you may end up with different exercises, so be careful. If you are a math, computer science major, etc., you will see a lot of the things we're going to do here in other courses. We're looking for patterns. Just hang on, do we give it to me at the end? We're looking for patterns. We're developing an idea of how to predict and work off of those patterns. The objectives for the course are here and where they line up. If you're a math major, take note of this. It'll show up in your capstone project. 99% of the rest of this is policies you probably saw before in other courses with me. If this is your first time, welcome to the Insanity. Public health and infectious diseases. If you're feeling sick, stay home. I am recording this. If you are stuck not being here, let me know, and you can watch the recording subsequent to this. There are appropriate testing procedures and health observations. If you come up positive, you're required to stay home till you're not infectious anymore and then mask for at least 5 days after that. Talk to me. Get vaccinated, stay clean, it'll be easier. It's not likely, but it'll be easier. Attendance. I believe I have a positive impact on people's learning outcomes in this course. I think coming to class helps. If you could stay home and read the book, why are you here? This is a place where the book is written by people who really understand it. And my job is to be a bridge between geek speak and English. And hopefully increase your ability to speak geek. Attendance and participation will count. It's taken on Canvas. It is a minor portion of your grade at best. By the way, the Canvas gradebook doesn't really do points in attendance properly, so I've set that to 0%. I keep a local gradebook as well. Technology. I'm going to use a graphing calculator fairly frequently in this course. If you don't have a graphing calculator, you can make do with most other calculators, but you should not have a calculator that has a computer algebra system. They're almost always labeled CAS. That's basically putting Wolfram Alpha in your pocket. I would like to know what you know, not what this knows. So if you have questions about your calculator, please come talk to me. We can use whatever device you'd like. make sure you get the manual for it so you know if I say, oh, well, you've got to go to this menu, you know where to find something on your calculator. Every single section we have has a set of homework assigned to it. There's a list on our Canvas page, a PDF just like this, and I'm looking for these problems to be handed in. Notice the assigned list is much larger than that. Why? Practice. I'm a sadistic bastard, right? Yeah, no. Practice, because the best way to understand, I asked you for problem 2. Maybe the appropriate thing to do is read problems 1 and 3 because the answers are in the back of the book. And then, oh, now I think I understand what's going on a little bit better. From this set of turned in assignments, one of those problems will be randomly selected and graded on correctness. Everything else is graded strictly on completion. So the homework assignment is out of 7 points, 5 for the one on completion, on correctness, and 2 points. Hey, did you do the rest of it? Most of it? Or no? That's really all I'm looking for. Please note, these assignment lists aren't very large. I don't believe that the homework will be hours and hours and hours of work. I do believe practice is what's going to get us into the way we need to think in this course. Because one of the things that is most different about this course from calculus or trig or algebra or statistics is it asks why a lot more, and we need to think differently about the way in which we do stuff. Homework will be due 2 class periods after the section is finished. So, Chapter 1, Section 1 is going to be finished on Friday. The assignment for that section will be due the following Wednesday. It's a 2-day lag, unless, something is missing, like we have a day off for something, or the exam that covers Chapter 1, well, the end of Chapter 1 is here, so that's due here. I would be posting keys, so in spite of the fact that you turned in 1-8 before the exam, you won't get it back before the exam, but you'll have my key to work from. We should get tutors for this course. And they will be able to help you as soon as I get a tutoring assignment. I believe tutors have been arranged. They just haven't made the announcement to all the teachers yet. I should get those tomorrow and post them as an announcement to our class. Because you're turning in stuff, please make sure it's legible, neat. Let it be a reflection of your professionalism. If you pull stuff out of a spiral-bound notebook, clear the fringes off the edge. Don't worry about origami corners. Just make sure your name's on the page, and I'll make sure to staple them together. There are 4 exams. 1, 2, 3, 4. I apologize in advance. I didn't write the exam schedule. Finals at 8 a.m. Okay, I'll learn to live with it. Everybody should take all the exams. If you're driving onto campus and you get a flat tire and you're not going to make the exam, call me, email me, let me know. If you're going to know that you're going to miss class, hey, as soon as possible, let me know you're going to miss for an exam, and I'll arrange a makeup in advance. It's always the better procedure to have you guys take a makeup exam early rather than late. It's easier both on me for grading everybody's exams and for you in terms of not having to try and study while you're gone for whatever it is you're gone for. But let's suppose neither of those is the option. And you're going to miss, and you can't do anything in advance, and you can't provide any sort of documentation for why you missed. Then skip the exam, and we'll double your next one. That sounds like a great deal until you look at this grade distribution down here and realize that if you miss exam 1, then exam 2 is 38% of your grade. That's a lot of pressure on 1 hour. Don't do this to yourself. It's much easier if everybody takes all the exams. The final exam is comprehensive and therefore slightly more heavily weighted. And then notice that overall, because homework is done for both completion and correctness, it is a lower percentage. Grading scale. You earn an 89 in this course, you're getting a B+. You might get an A-. I don't know. No curves will be applied until after the final exams are graded. I don't curve any individual assignment along the way. The gradebook in Canvas has been within a couple of hundredths of a percentage point of my grading scheme. If you've got questions about, well, where am I? Email me, I'll happily walk you through. I am recording on my computer what is being said, what shows up under this camera. Everything I write, when I write something under this camera, will be scanned and uploaded to the Canvas page as well. But this class is really designed to be face-to-face, synchronous. So the fact that it's being recorded shouldn't be a good reason for you to just blow it off and say, I'll be here next time. The room is fairly large. The aisles are fairly big. If we have to get out of here in a hurry, our evacuation door is right there, immediately outside the back door. The stairs take us straight down and cross the street to assemble in front of the Child Development Center, cross the street from here. But please make sure that you leave the aisles clear as possible in case we have to exit suddenly. We'll get Starfish feedback a couple of times during the semester, at least 2, probably more, both positive and negative feedback through Starfish. Those will come to your Seton Hill email account by default. To that end, please make sure that if you, I'm going to jump, please make sure that you have a valid email address in Canvas and GryphonGate. If you set up forwarding for your other courses to another email address, I'm going to send stuff by default to your Seton Hill email address. If you email me from something else, I'll respond to it, but I won't remember who countrybutterfly25@yahoo.com is. So I'll send stuff to your school email by default. If you're going to contact me with a class issue, please use email as a first resort. It's easiest. You'll get a response within 24 hours. I, for example, have not looked at my email since before 9 o'clock this morning because I've been in class all the way through and at lunch. And I didn't do lunch and email together. I'm usually in bed early and awake early, so you'll get a response from me sometimes before class, the morning after you've emailed me. You've got a schedule. You know when everything's going to be. But assignment dates are also on Canvas. If you click on the assignment link on the left-hand menu, all of the dates are available. If you click on the calendar link, you can see them in the calendar format. You can also connect that to your Gmail calendars as well and have those reminders built there. There are no extra credit assignments. There are bonus problems at a couple of places, some of the exams, exam reflections, things like that. But there are no, hey, it's May, what can I do to raise my grade? I'll ask you if you have a time machine. If it sounds like I'm prattling on about the same thing over and over, it's because somebody behind you is looking at me like, what the? And I want to make that face go away. Please set your cell phone to vibrate or silent. If it goes off in the middle of class, audibly, I'm going to answer it and ask if it's an emergency. If it's not, I'm going to hang up on them. If it is, I'm going to give you the phone to get out of here. But you don't want that. I don't want that. Set it to silent. The use of tobacco products is prohibited inside campus buildings. Please don't smoke. If you use smokeless tobacco or chewing tobacco, be very careful with your cuspidor, because if that spills, this whole carpet has to get ripped up and it stinks for forever. It isn't worth it. No tobacco use in the classroom, please. I am a mandatory Title IX reporter. If I am witness to or informed of harassment of any type, sexual, gender, violent, racist, whatever, I am required to report it to the Title IX coordinator. That should not dissuade you from telling me things. If you want to disclose something to me, I can have this conversation with you. I'm still thus required to go have it with someone else as well. If you'd rather speak to someone else who's not bound by that mandatory reporting guideline, the Blackburn Center, the Counseling Center, the Center for Family Therapy, and Campus Ministry are all available to you. If you are legally, if I am legally obligated to provide accommodations to you for some reason, I don't need to know the reason, I just need the accommodations paper. So please go see the Student Services Office on 5th Admin, all the way up far end of the building. and fill out the appropriate paperwork with them. I will get an email from them saying these are the things student X is legally entitled to, and I will have a conversation with you about how to best go about ensuring that those accommodations get met. Since we are recording, if a discussion topic comes up and you are uncomfortable with that topic being part of the recording, your contribution to it, let me know. I can turn the recording off. I think it is unlikely to happen in a math class. I've had it happen in history classes, in philosophy classes, in lots of other discussion courses. I've rarely had it happen in a math class. But please let me know. Academic engagement. What does it mean to be an active part of this course? It means you don't just sit there and go, pour it into my head, doc. You have to be both doing and discussing and engaging with the material. The best way to get good at something is to suck at it first. I go out on the field, I practice, I exercise, I do that to get better at what I am trying to do. In this room, the thing that's going to hurt afterwards is between your ears. So it's a different kind of exercise, but that's an engagement with the material. Struggling with this material is helpful. You don't become an Olympic athlete by watching a lot of videos on Olympic athletes, right? I'm not going to become Beckham by watching a lot of soccer games. Watching the video of the course is only the intake part of it. The practice part is on you. Academic honesty. I am 100% sure that every single question in this book has an answer online. I guarantee you can get on Chegg, on Google, you can start typing in the problem, the answer will come up. If you spend your time typing the problems in and copying the answer to your handwriting to hand it to me in class, has it gone through your head? Okay, so that's what I mean by practicing academic honesty in this course, is to make a good faith effort to engage with the material. To that end, a lot of what we are doing is stuff I think you will do best at working together. Get in a group, talk to each other about what we're doing. If I am stuck on this problem and I go to you and you explain something to me, you might learn from the explanation because I'll ask you the questions and I'm like, but didn't he say something about this? You're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And all of a sudden, we both grow from the experience. You also have to turn in your own stuff, so that gives you the opportunity to work together and collaborate and then individually go away and do the write-ups so that your understanding can be made clear. To that end, I need to talk about artificial intelligence, because this course really does focus on writing mathematics, not just solving problems, but creating logical explanations. It can be done with help from large language models. What's the right next word here? But the problem is, my goal is to develop your skills, not an AI model's skills. It'll help you get the homework done, just like Google and Chegg will. But it won't help you when you come to my exam and a problem that's different than all the homework is there, and the only thing you have accessible to you as a tool is something that's not connected to the internet. It needs to be at least the process in between your ears so that you can use that. I know it's easy, but this is my opinion. If you really want to look something up, you should really only do it after you spend at least a day on these. And I mean, you could be, all right, it's Wednesday, I spent 2 hours on the homework, I'm going to go talk to somebody on Thursday. But talking to somebody is like, talk to each other. Talk to one of the tutors. Talk to me. People, I have been teaching this course for 20 years. To me, some of this stuff is easy, but I've had a lot of practice at it. You haven't even been in this room for just over 20 minutes yet. it's going to look a lot harder. When I was very young, I went to a summer camp out in Colorado, and we learned to rock climb. And I kid you not, the counselor who took us out to the climbing wall said, we're going to do this face. And he points at 100-foot tall, straight up cliff. And I went, what? And he looks at it for a second, walks over, picks up a big coil of rope, throws it over his head, across his body, and goes, I'm going to go up and leave a rope down. Somebody tie themselves in and you'll be the first one up. And he Spider-Man right up that damn thing. And I swear to you, this man went up in like 2 minutes. Whoop! Like a staircase. And I went, what the hell have I gotten myself into? And he threw the rope down, tied it off on a rock, and was belaying us up. And it probably took me 20 minutes to go that 100 feet. Really slowly, really carefully, hoping I didn't fall and die the whole time. I had a belt and attached to the wall. It worked. He'd been up and down that rock for 10, 15 years. He knew it cold. I got stuck. And he looks over the edge and he goes, yeah, go back down about 4 feet. You'll see you went to the right. What you really need to do is go left. There's a little bit more of a reach, but that's, and he knew the path. Upside down and backwards, he could tell me which way to go. I don't think this class is a vertical wall. It might be a 45-degree climb, but it's not a vertical wall. Kenneth Burke said, literature is equipment for living. Math is equipment for thinking. This course will change how you see the rest of the world because it will change you and the way you think. And a lot of that comes out of the beginning of this course. And in a very real sense, that's the reason that when we think about AI in this course, I'm really thinking of this as a course that shouldn't have any AI. I think you're best off trying to do as much of this without a computer helping you as possible. By the way, in order to come up with this policy, I decided, what the hell? Let me ask ChatGPT what it thinks about discouraging extensive AI use. It gave me 3.5 pages. For the record, this is on our Canvas page too. If you want to see how I took this and went, no, I don't want to say that. I like this. And just to show you what it can do, why I don't like it. Questions? Ask me anything about this course, people. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, as a matter of fact, there will be a note page permitted for this set of exams, 1 page per exam, and you'll get to use them cumulatively. Now, I'll talk more specifically about what should and shouldn't be on any given note card as we get closer and closer to the exam. It's actually written at the top of the review sheet as well. I think the exam 1 review sheet is available on our Canvas page.
Do we have it on the final?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to roll them up. By the time you get to the final, you should have 4 pages. There are a lot of particular pieces in the course where it's like, I could memorize this giant table of logical equivalences. I think I'd rather stand upside down naked in the snow yodeling. No, it's not worth it. When I have this available resource, there are things I should know fairly quickly, but there are minutiae pieces that it's not worth investing the effort in memorizing. So yes, we'll get formula sheets for this course. More questions? I'm going to dive in. In order to have reasoned arguments, we need to have a framework for distinguishing good justifications from poor justifications. And most of what we start with is about 2,300 years old. formal propositional logic is really Aristotelian logic, Greek in its origin. So I need to come up with rules for what it means to make a good argument. And rather than using the words true and false here, I want to talk about distinguishing between valid and invalid arguments. And that's important because I need to know about the pieces that go into an argument, what rules I'm allowed to use to connect those pieces, and whether that is going to result in something that is useful. So, because I think algebraically, I really want to try and abstract these ideas as much as possible. And that when we call this propositional logic, those are going to be my base ideas. If I'm going to use propositions as my baseline idea, a proposition is a declarative sentence that is either true or false, but not both. I beg your pardon? What do you mean true or false, but not both? Out of the following 5 sentences, some of them are true. Some of them are false. Some of them are both. Blake, you're nodding at me. Give me an example of one of those that's false.
X plus 7 if x is 6.
Ah, so that's one that could be both ways, right? This is true if x happens to be 6, but it's false in any other case. So that's one that's not a proposition. But I've got one up there that I know is 100% false.
That's 6 plus 7.
If 6 plus 7 is 96, I've been smoking something really funny. On the other hand, 1 plus 1 is 2, last time I checked, rules of arithmetic. Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania. What about the other sentence here? Is that one true or false? I don't know what your tastes are, do I? If I read that sentence, it's true. It might not be true for someone else. So who is I? So that prevents me from saying this is a proposition I can use in constructing a logical argument. Unless somewhere in the prior piece of sentences, in the prior part of the argument, I establish who I is from reading this. So on its own, this sentence isn't a proposition because I is a pronoun. Questions? Once I have a set of propositions, some of these are true, some of these are false, I then want to do things to those. If these are the objects, I want to have operations, like algebra, right? I mean, I've got an operation up here, I'm adding. And under the normal circumstances in which I use addition, I know one of those to be true and one of those to be false. I want to have operations that work on propositions. So I'm going to use what are called propositional variables. And those will be single letters. And so the value of P may be the sentence 1 + 1 is 2. It may be the sentence Harrisburg is the capital of Pennsylvania. That variable now represents a known true or false item. And then I'm going to write as a general statement, whenever I write a capital T, that's automatically a true statement. Whenever I write a capital F, that's automatically a false statement. And we think of those as truth values. My goal is to try and take a propositional operation and use it to figure out what it does to the truth value of one of these variables. So let's start with what I think is the easiest operation. If I have a proposition, its negation is written like that. And negation simply reads not P. So I'm really just saying what I want you to do is give me the other truth value. So if I know the truth value of P, I know the truth value of its negation. I think the easiest way to display these options is in a table. P can only have two options for its truth value. A proposition is either true or false. Those are the only things allowed. Okay. If I know P, what are the values for the negation of P? Exactly. It's the opposite. False, true. This is called a truth table. And the goal is to display the relationship between the truth values of the different propositions and the operations we use on them. So in this case, I'm just dealing with negation, so it literally just flips the truth value. It's like a minus sign, right? The only reason we put a tail on it is so it looks different. The negation operator, in some textbooks, they use a tilde. So in some books, you'll see this written like this. So if you look online, you may see that version of the negation operator instead of that little tailed minus sign. This is a unary operator. It gets one argument. If I think about this in code, it's a procedure that takes in one thing, spits out one thing. More often, I'm going to look at multiple operators, binary operators, and larger. So here, are two others. A wedge pointing upward and a V wedge pointing downward. These are binary operators. There'll be a letter on each side. So if I want the conjunction of P and Q, I'm going to write P wedge Q. I'm going to use this to mean the word and. The V shape is called the disjunction. And it reads or. P or Q. So now what I need to try and figure out, first of all, is what options are available to me for the two propositions. Make sure I cover all the possibilities there. And what are the resulting truth values when I do P and Q, when I do P or Q? So let me start with the beginning of that. If I have two propositions, P, Q, how many options should I get for truth values here? Why?
Because it's both for P and both for Q.
Aha, I have two options for P, and each of those two options can be paired with the two options for Q. So I can say, oh, well, P could be true when Q is true or when Q is false, but also P could be false when Q is true and Q is false. Now, when I am doing binary operations, I almost always write the truth table in this order, where the rightmost column flips back and forth every one line, and the left column flips back and forth every two. That way I pair everything up the right way. Okay. P and Q. If I'm looking at and, when do I want a true for an output? When they match? So you're telling me P is false and Q is false, I should get a true out? So let's be a little more, this is where I'm going to be a major pain in the ass. I need to be very precise with the wording I want to use. So in this case, I think this one down here should probably be a false. But then the only other place where they match is the top one. So if P is true, Q is true, the and should result in okay. So now I need to think about these. If I want P is true and Q is true, is that true in the second line? Is that true in the third line? Okay. So the and is true when both P and Q are individually true. So not just that they match, but they're both true. I like that. However, when I think of the word or, I have a problem. It's not a huge problem, but it is a problem. If you go to a restaurant and they offer you a soup or a salad with your entree, how many things are you going to get? But I'm going to ask you from a logical standpoint. In this first row, I want to know if P is true or if Q is true. Is P true? Therefore, without looking at anything else, P is true or Q is true. Is true, isn't it? So up here, I'm going to put a true. On the next two lines, I hope this makes perfect sense. P is true or Q is true. P is true or Q is true. And down here, neither of them are true. But that top one is the one that bugs me. Because you could say to me, and if I were a real snide person to my waitress, do you want soup or salad? Yes. I'm either going to get a soup or a salad. Yes, I want one of those things, right? I could get them both. The word or in English can be used two different ways. What I've written up here is called an inclusive or. It is true when one or the other or both are true. It is only false when both of them are false. But that's not how the menu at the restaurant means it. The menu doesn't mean you could have one or the other or both. It means you get one or the other, but not both. An exclusive or, sometimes that's actually written as XOR. Includes that exception. Our textbook doesn't use the symbol XOR. It writes a plus inside a circle. I think this is the dumbest symbol I've seen so far, but I didn't make it up, so I'm stuck with it. If I want to use this or, then I'll get two falses and two truths. So here's again a foundational difference between speaking English and speaking geek. If I say the word or to you, rarely do people think, oh, I can think of both. We almost always in English use an exclusive or without being explicit about it. Questions? The more lenient of these two is the inclusive or. So unless somebody makes it explicit in the way the sentences are written, I'm going to use the assumption that I am working with an inclusive or more often than an exclusive or. Context in this case is going to matter much more about translating English to geek. So I can think of these three binary operators in single sentences. And is true when both pieces are true. And or is false when both pieces are false. That's the general one, the inclusive one. An exclusive or is true when exactly one is true. By the way, these generalize to more. If I do P and Q and R and S, I need them to all be true. If I do P or Q or R or S, I need at least one of them to be true. To get true out. If I want them to be false, if I want a false out, I need them all to be false in the or case. Exclusive or is a lot harder to expand. But again, I will want exactly one of them to be true. So far, so good? Fundamentally, every computer chip on the face of the planet operates on these ideas. When you think about a computer chip storing a bit, a 1 or a 0, it's storing a true or a false, an on or an off. And all of the instructions you are dealing with every piece of computerized technology, are built on the idea of combining those ons and offs in certain ways. This is the backbone of every single chip in the world. More on that in a little bit. Monkey wrench time. The implication statement. If P, then Q. Or P implies Q. My biggest problem with this logic symbol is that in English, there are dozens of different ways to say this. This is also called the conditional statement. But when I mean dozens of different ways, top of page 7 in your textbook are 14 of them. Gosh. All right, wait a minute. If P, then Q, I get it. But we don't often write the word then in our sentences. You drive home this weekend, you may get snowed in. Did I say the word then? Was it clearly in the sentence? It's the same thing, isn't it? P is sufficient for Q. Whenever I see P, that's enough to know Q is going to happen. I can put them in a different order. Q if P. P only if Q. Put a little star next to that one. We're going to need that one a little later. Q whenever P. Whenever P happens, I see Q after it. Q whenever P. Q is necessary for P. I like to think of this one as Q is necessary from P. Whenever P appears, a Q follows. Q provided. Oh my God. People, this is what I mean about we're going to write stuff down because it's not worth memorizing all the different variations. You're going to want to make a note of this page, page 7, because we're going to use these a lot. Put a bookmark in this. If you've got a PDF version of the book or you're using the online version, just tag it so you know where this page is. Although if you're on the book bundle, you should have gotten a physical copy. So there are a lot of physical variations in the sentence. With that in mind, I need to figure out the truth table here. Oh, by the way, we will often use, for P, we'll use a hypothesis, premise, or antecedent. Ante means before, antecedent, the thing that comes before. And then for Q, conclusion or consequent, thing that comes after. So now I need to decide, Where do I put a true? Where do I put a false? This is weird. But I'm pretty sure I should put a true here. I'm pretty sure I should put a false here. What about the next two? Believe it or not, I've just run up against the clock. So guess what we're going to talk about on Friday? I will see you all then. Have a wonderful rest of your day. This is where we will pick up Friday.